Hello everyone, Michael Breddy here from Breddy Musical Instruments. Today is the fifth and final batch unveiling video for this week's Ocarina batch unveiling marathon. So for those of you who have been tuning into the prior videos released this week, you'll know that I will be exhibiting at the Boston Early Music Festival 2025, which is being held at the Collonade Hotel in Boston from June 11th through the 14th, so next Wednesday through Saturday. So I go a lot more into details about this event in my initial announcement video at the beginning this week. But just to recap, the Boston Early Music Festival is one of the biggest events of its kind in the world for early music. So everything classical from the Baroque and Renaissance eras. So if you really like that time and genre of music, this is definitely a really cool event to be a part of. So there's going to be lots of performances and shows and demonstrations and workshops. So if you're into that stuff, it's definitely could be a very interesting experience. And as part of that showcase, there is the exhibition where instrument makers come together and kind of showcase their instruments for people to try out and purchase and talk more about. So there's going to be lots of instruments from violin makers to accessories, harpsichord, recorders and other fine woodwinds, and now ocarinas. So during the showcase, I'm going to be exhibiting 19 different ocarinas from 8 different batches. So 3 of the batches I've shown kind of prior in earlier batch unveilings, but there will be 5 new batches, which I've been building up through this week. So this is the 5th and final one, and without further ado, I'm pleased to give a first look and listen to batch number 11 of high-end wooden inline ocarinas from Breddy Musical Instruments. So over the course of this video, I'm going to be diving into the details of every ocarina in this batch, so close-ups of all the ocarinas, talking about the nuances in playing, giving sound samples for each ocarina, and then finally a performance at the end of this video. So as I mentioned in my first initial video, I think that number 11 is my favorite batch of the new ones so far, just because it consists of my tenor E4 size ocarina. And so far out of the 4 ocarina sizes that I produced, the E4, the F4, the G4, and the A4, this is my favorite size just because I love tenor ocarinas from the warmth and smoothness of the tone, as well as the size. I like the kind of larger size ocarina, and it shows off a lot more of the beautiful woods that I use. So this batch consists of 3 different ocarinas. These are serial numbers 18, 19, and 20. So diving right in, I'm going to be starting out with ocarina number 18. So these ocarinas consist of 3 woods and are actually kind of a matching counterpart set to one of the earlier batches. So I believe it was a couple of batches ago that I unveiled this week. So batch number 9 that included the bloodwood, zebrawood, and cedar, and that set consisted of 2 G4 ocarinas and a G sharp 4. So if you love that kind of unique wood combination, there's an opportunity to check these ocarinas out and get something in a even deeper tone if you like kind of more deeper ocarinas. So first, going over the base wood of this ocarina. So the foundation of this build, once again, is the absolutely beautiful Brazilian bloodwood that I used. So I kind of talked about it in my earlier batch, but just to go over the details more, I stumbled across this wood from one of my typical wood suppliers, and immediately seeing the ridiculously deep rich strawberry red bloodwood boards, I knew I had to get them for this build. So I ended up getting several boards of this bloodwood, and I've used it for a number of ocarinas. So those three prior altos, three tenors, and I've got three more tenors, which are going to be a little bit different than these, in the works for a future batch down the road. So lots of really cool bloodwood, and it's not easy to find bloodwood this deep and rich, so I knew I had to kind of grab it while I had the opportunity. The boards are also perfect thickness for what I need for my ocarina, so it ended up working well and allowed me to support a number of sizes, which was really cool. So kind of getting a look at the bloodwood for the tenor. So you can see, like the prior batch, this has really rich, deep red look. Takes an absolute exquisite polish. I mean, you can see the level of polish on these bloodwood polishes up so exceptionally beautifully. It's like an absolute mirror. And underneath that beautiful, hand-applied gloss varnish, you can see the chatoyance of the bloodwood just rippling as it moves in the light. So really, really beautiful wood. Again, bloodwood is super heavy, super hard, super dense. So it leads for a bit of a nice weighted ocarina, as well as lends itself to a nice bright tone and projection. So second wood, again, now moving on, is the really nice zebrawood. So you can see it also in this. There's some nice movement of the light in the grain. You can see really beautiful gloss polish. Zebrawood also polishes up really beautifully too. It's a little bit more open grain than the bloodwood, but they both have very kind of similar openness in the grain. Both are very hard and dense and take a really nice polish. So for the three of these ocarinas, the way that I laid it out on the boards, the grain is running vertically down the ocarinas on all three. So you get this really nice, classic zebrawood striping, and the beautiful dark brownish black veining along the kind of yellowish tone of the base zebrawood. So again, I thought this was kind of a unique combination. I got the bloodwood boards, and I had a whole bunch of different quarter-inch stock of various woods going back and forth, and I thought that the zebrawood would be kind of a cool and unconventional type pairing with the bloodwood. So as I mentioned in my prior videos, I will be doing solid bloodwood, I will be doing solid zebrawood, but for these first couple of batches, I wanted to kind of explore that interesting contrast, which you can see, the yellow and black striping and the red. So I think a very cool combination, especially for those of you who like red and yellow type woods. This is a pretty unique combo. So really, really cool striping of the grain, really deep of the red. Just an overall very polished and unique ocarina that I think would definitely stand out in a collection. So finally, we have the aromatic cedar mouthpiece. One thing about these boards, because bloodwood is a very heavy and dense exotic hardwood, it is one of those species that does have a little bit of a more tendency to crack and check along the grain of the wood. So there were some surface checks in the boards. They just went, again, they're just on the surface of the wood. They don't affect anything. They've been fully sealed and stabilized on the inside and the outside. But again, going back to general care for ocarinas, especially something like bloodwood, you want to just make sure that you don't play these ocarinas in a very cold environment. So no going out on really cold autumn or winter days and playing these ocarinas. It's best left for kind of moderate temperature, warm temperature, or indoor play, just so you don't have the hot breath and the cold air on the outside causing extreme temperature gradient that could potentially cause it to crack. Again, these are sealed fully on the inside and the outside. The surface cracks were fully stabilized and sealed with varnish as well, so there shouldn't be any issue. You can barely notice them otherwise, but just be aware that like any fine woodwinds, proper care and attention is required. Though, because they are sealed, you don't have to worry about oiling or any other maintenance, just besides, not playing them in cold weather. So you can kind of see it's very, very difficult on this one to see, actually almost impossible, but there's a really tiny, again, just very, very minor surface check in the board that was sealed up, but doesn't affect anything structurally or playing wise otherwise. So to give a sound sample of this ocarina, I'll just go up and down the scale so you can hear the full range of the ocarina. So this is what number 18 sounds like. So like all the ocarinas I make, I try to voice them with really exceptional beauty and clarity across the range. Again, like I've mentioned a bunch in prior videos, these are extended range single chamber inlines. So they actually reach the same range as a typical 11-hole transverse ocarina would. It has the same exact fingering, so very easy to switch between. Actually, it's identical fingering between typical Asian style ocarinas and these inlines. So you get the full range of an inline transverse ocarina in the inline form factor. So as far as I'm aware, there isn't really any other inline ocarina in the world that does this. And especially for larger sizes, it seems that a lot of makers tend to make them much more limited in overall range. However, I actually find that so far the E4s are the easiest for me to personally voice. The A4s, which are the smallest and the highest pitch, are actually the most brutal to voice. But it seems like the larger the ocarina gets, at least in my process of how these things are voiced, the smoother the voicing process goes. So I'm actually able to voice these up across the full range, really without much issue. And they have really clear, crystal clear tone at the top. The bloodwood gives nice projection. It has again nice clarity and brightness to it. Because these are tenors, these are a more mellow type ocarina. They do have a little bit of a low medium breath pressure curve, so they start out a bit low medium and they kind of go up evenly to kind of medium breath at the upper end. So they do need a little bit more lower breath at the bottom, but they still have a nice warm rich tone at the bottom, really nice clarity at the top. Very comfortable to play. They take a little bit more air than my smaller sizes, but they're not airy. They still have a very clean tone, especially with the tenor size. You get the richness and warmth of that tenor tuning, and then with the harder bloodwood, especially at the high end, it kind of balances out with a nice clean tone. So overall, really fun ocarina to play. Definitely, again, my favorite size to play, my favorite size to make, and especially for larger ocarinas, you get to enjoy even more of the beauty of the wood. Next, I'm going to move on to number 19. So I'll just briefly go over the woods for this one. So we have, again, that beautiful deep red iridescent bloodwood with some fantastic movement in with the light and the grain. You have the really nice striped vertical grain of the zebra going down the body of the ocarina. And then you have my typical aromatic cedar mouthpiece. So like number 18, this one did have a couple of really minor, again, really minor surface checks just right at the surface of the wood. Doesn't affect anything. They've been fully sealed again, so not an issue. But just for reference, there's some sealed surface checks here on this side, and then another small one at the bottom. So you can't really see them unless you like look really close and inspect it very closely, and you kind of know what you're looking for. Again, it doesn't affect anything, but I just want to make sure that people are aware of every detail. I don't think it changes anything aesthetically at all, and certainly it doesn't affect the playing or even the stability of this, because again, these checks are not going through the thickness of the wood. They're just hairline checks at the surface. So to give a sound sample of number 19, this is what this ocarina sounds like going across the range. So again, really beautiful, warm, rich tone, really nice projection. These can be played at a very comfortable volume level. They're very comfortable to play indoors. They do have good projection also for outdoors, so you can actually push them harder at the top end. So while they're a little bit softer at the bottom, they do rise up kind of nicely at the top end, and you still get a lot of beautiful clarity without any airiness at all. In terms of the nuances of playing, I would say that number 18 probably has a little bit more openness at the low ends than number 19. So this one has a little bit more back pressure. At the top end and through the middle range, it has a tiny bit more focus to the tone. I think out of all the tenors that I've made, so I've made the 2 tenors from the batch 3, I made 2 tenors from the prior batch 6, and then now these 3 tenors. This one is a little bit, probably the most open tone. So very warm, open tone, low back pressure, really nice mellow tone across the range. This is paired very well. All 3 of these ocarinas are paired very well in terms of matching with their breath curve, the response, the tone, the intonation, everything. Again, just comparing them side by side, I would say that this one is just a tiny bit more back pressure, not super noticeable, but if you're playing them side by side a lot and you get to know the characteristics of each of them, well, like I have during the making process, you will pick up a little bit on the difference. But again, really nice, clean, rich tone across the range. Finally, there's the last ocarina in this batch. This is number 20. So giving a look at the bloodwood. So again, really beautiful iridescent bloodwood. In terms of surface checks, so this one has probably the largest surface check out of all of them. Again, it does not run through the body. There's no risk in it actually increasing further. This one does cut through like this, and actually did end up cutting just a tiny bit through one side of the left thumb hole. I don't believe that should be an issue. Again, it should be full. It's fully sealed and stabilized, so really not an issue. But that's just natural part of the woods, and instead of throwing away woods or discarding pieces, I like to embrace every unique character and aspect, whether it's inclusions, whether it's knots, checks, cracks, whatever, and work that into the instrument to still make a fully stable, fully beautiful sounding and looking ocarina. So again, this surface check is probably the largest single noticeable one of the batch, but it doesn't affect anything otherwise. But just for anyone who's interested in the ocarina and you see it, it's not something to be a concern of. It's just something to just note that that's just was part of the board and was worked through during the crafting of the ocarina. So moving on, you have a really nice zebrawood. I think this particular zebrawood has a little bit more open banding. The middle one, number 19, has kind of the most narrow banding, and numbers 18 and 20 kind of have a wider, a little bit more wilder grain, which I kind of personally like, kind of that wider, more wavy type spacing in the grain myself. So again, just a really beautiful combination of the striped zebrawood and the bloodwood. You can kind of see, the really cool contrast best from the side. Then you have, again, the aromatic cedar mouthpiece. So giving a sound sample of the tone of number 20. You heard this one at the beginning for the intro theme, but I'll just play this again for reference, going up and down the full scale. So this is ocarina number 20. So I think number 20 and number 19 are the most similar. They are super well matched. They are literally practically identical. I really can't discern much difference between the two. The back pressure and the texture and clarity of both ocarinas across the range is pretty much identical between the two. Number 18 is still just as beautiful, just has a tiny bit less back pressure to it and maybe a little bit more openness at the bottom. So these two are a little bit more, just a tiny bit more reserved at the bottom end with a little bit more focused back pressure and texture going up the scale, whereas number 18 is just a little bit more open, a little bit less back pressure, but they all play really beautifully and clearly across the range. So that kind of wraps up the overview for this batch. Now, to put things in a more musical context, I will be doing a short performance. For this piece, I decided to pick the tune Ye Banks and Brays O Bonnie Doon. So please enjoy this rendition on one of the tenor E4 ocarinas from batch number 11. So that wraps up this fifth and final batch unveiling marathon for this week. So if you stuck around for all of the videos, for all 6 videos total, I definitely appreciate it and hope you enjoyed watching the unveiling of these ocarinas, learning about the stories behind each one. Every single one from every batch is beautifully unique in its own way, from the physical aesthetic to the tone of each ocarina, and then the backgrounds of each one. Everyone is very special, made from different woods, personally selected and matched to give a different feel and theme for each batch and each ocarina. So again, this batch was batch number 11. So this consisted of 3 tenor E4s, serial numbers 18, 19, and 20. Really beautiful, warm, rich mellow tone, great openness at the low end, beautiful clarity at the high end, just really fun ocarinas. And again, if you're someone who loves a deeper toned ocarina and you want the full range of typical standard single chamber ocarinas, these could be a great addition to your collection. So really cool woods, really excited to work on these, really excited to work on more tenors. I got a lot more tenors in production, so there's going to be a lot more of this size to come. So for this exhibition, these 3 ocarinas will be on display to try out and purchase at the showcase. So if you're in the area and you want to come check out these ocarinas and say hi, it'd be great to meet other ocarinists and enthusiasts out in the area. And if not, don't worry, these ocarinas are still going to be available for anyone to purchase, while priority is going to be given for exhibition attendees. If you are interested in any of the ocarinas that I've shown from this batch or any of the other batches, just send me a message and I will put you on the reserve list for that ocarina. And as soon as the exhibition ends, I'm going to be sending out messages to the people on the reserve lists for those interested in the ocarinas, and for the ocarinas that don't sell during the exhibition, and contacting you immediately if you are interested in moving forward on that ocarina. So if you like these developments and you want to follow along more, you can also follow along on the Brady Musical Instruments Instagram and Facebook pages. I also post on several of the Ocarina Facebook pages, as well as the Ocarina Reddit and the Global Ocarina Community Discord. Definitely for upcoming batches and sneak peeks of what's to come. The Instagram is the most in-depth besides the videos I do here, because it shows a lot of the process that goes into the ocarinas. So new woods selection, various woods being cut and hollowed and slowly formed together across many different instruments. I have a lot of new sizes coming out, new instruments coming out, a whole bunch of woods across the range. So a lot of exciting things to come. So if you're interested in anything, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. And thank you again for tuning into this special batch unveiling marathon. And keep an eye out for more updates to come. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.